Everybody wants to see the benefit system simplified, don't they? Many governments, including Labour governments, have tried to do that, and everybody wants to encourage people back into work. Yeah. So what's the big problem for you with this?
Well, look, we support the principle of universal credit. When it was first announced, the government said that they wanted to make work pay and to support people lifting their children out of poverty. There's nothing wrong with that. We support it. But because of the cuts that have been applied to the rollout, and because of the delays to the people receiving payments, there's been millions of people who are now in arrears as a result of this disastrous rollout. And what we've seen with these freedom of information research we've done over the Christmas period is it's actually local authorities that are having to pay for the government's disastrous rollout.
Is it fair to call it a disastrous rollout, though? Because, you know, councils were having to support people on benefits anyway. There are always going to be teething troubles when something like this happens, and the Department for Work and Pensions say that actually they're making sure that there are advances available, there are direct rent payments available for those people who need it.
But what we see in places like in Somerset and North Bath, but areas that you would think are relatively affluent, 3/4 of that payment is going directly to universal credit claimants because their arrears have gone up. In Manchester, their arrears has nearly doubled, and half of families that are on universal credit are saying that they started to go into arrears when they were moved on to universal credit. So there is a problem with the rollout of this programme, and there is a problem with the way the government have funded it. And we're saying, in fact, Parliament is saying, Parliament voted to say, let's have a pause to this. Let's see if we can reform it. Let's see if we can put it right before more people are put into poverty.
How could you do it differently, though? It's always going to be difficult, isn't it, when you're moving from a system where you've got 6 different types of benefit payments that you're trying to consolidate into one payment?
Yeah. Well, we accept there's no golden bullet, but there are lots of things that can be done. For example, many people don't realise that universal credit impacts on self-employed people as well, and the way it's currently calculated for low-income self-employed people, they look at their monthly income rather than taking the average income over a year. Now, if you're a builder or a sparky, you know, you've got seasonal work, and if you're assessed in a good month, when the bad months come in, you can easily run up very high debts. So we're saying to the government, look, you've not done this system right. It's broken.
But Tom, Labour didn't get it right either, did they? I mean, we know money's got to be cut, and we know that there isn't much money around. We know that we have to sort out the benefit system because we want it to be more attractive for people to be in work than not.
Yes, as I said, we support the principle of this. We supported simplifying the system. We agreed that some of the benefits should be rolled up. But we think it needs to make work pay, it needs to end child poverty, but it needs to be an effective system. And there are too many defects to this system now for it to continue. And Parliament itself demanded the government pause. At the moment, they're defying the will of Parliament on this. And these new figures just add to the growing number of examples that show that this system isn't working. And really, I think there are many millions of families facing poverty now that don't need to, precisely because the government won't listen to Parliament and won't hold the system up and put some of these defects right.
OK, well, listen, something else to talk to you about is Brexit and the prospect of a second referendum, because you said that a second poll shouldn't be ruled out. Jeremy Corbyn has said, though, that the party isn't advocating another vote. It's a bit of a confusing message, this one.
It isn't, but it is a complex issue. We've never said that we advocate a second referendum. It wasn't in our manifesto. But what we said is we want to keep all options open. But I think it's highly unlikely there will be a second referendum. We support the decision of the people taken in the last referendum, and we want to make sure that the government negotiating team come back with the best deal for Britain. But where we differ from the government is we would have different priorities where we were the negotiating team. We think that some of those protections on the environment, for consumers and for workers should be higher up the government's agenda. And we're very concerned that Theresa May is under ransom from her right-wing backbenchers who want to make Britain a sort of bargain basement, low-tax economy, poor labour rights, poor environmental rights. And that's why we take a different view on the negotiations. But we don't advocate a second referendum.
You say you want to keep your option open. That is what it sounds like. It sounds like you're keeping your options open just to see the way the wind blows and then go, actually, we're for this, and then everybody will vote Labour.
No, well, I can see why our opponents would say that, but with a very complex series of negotiations like Brexit, why wouldn't you keep your options open if you don't have to shut them down? But our negotiating plan would be to put jobs and trade into the single market first.
Have we persuaded you to do Dry January with Kate in that case?
Well, OK, if you do it, I'll do it.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
That's how much you believe I can't do it, isn't it, Tom?
Breaking news.
I'm going to alert the Lorraine show and I'll have you roped in.
That they have another volunteer.
Very good. I might put a bit more weight off. So
he looks more disturbed than that. We're talking about universal credit.